Today, Honda is one of the most popular car brands and by far the most popular motorcycle brand in the world. Hondas are sold in over 150 countries, and it's hard to find a place where the brand is not well known. What's lesser known, however, is the story of its founder. Hey, I'm Creech, this is Creech and Cars, and today we'll be taking a look at the inspiring life story of Soichiro Honda. Soichiro Honda was born in the rural village of Komyo near Hamamatsu in Japan on November 17, 1906. His mother was a weaver, and his father was a trained blacksmith who made his living repairing bicycles. During his early years, Soichiro helped his father around the shop. At the time, bicycles were beginning to take off in popularity, especially in larger cities. Soichiro's father would buy damaged bikes and repair and restore them before reselling them. If you didn't know, Japan has a very conformist culture with strict ideas about expected behavior. But from a young age, Soichiro became disinterested in the traditional school system and showed that he wasn't afraid to go a different route from his peers. At his school, the children were required to return their report cards with the family signature to prove their parents had seen it. Not wanting his parents to know that he was performing poorly, Soichiro was able to forge his family name onto a bike pedal and stamp the signature onto his report card. After his initial success with this, he began making other forged stamps for his classmates until his little scheme was finally uncovered by the teacher. In addition to his experience in his father's shop, Soichiro had a couple other notable experiences around motors that certainly shaped him as a person. He never forgot the first time he had seen an automobile come through his small village. He loved the smell of burning oil that the car gave off, later recalling that, to him, it smelled like perfume. Later on, Soichiro would take one of his father's bicycles and go see a demonstration of an airplane done by the famous pilot, Art Smith. By age 15, he was sure that he wanted to be around machines for the rest of his life. He had seen an ad in a newspaper for a job helping around an auto repair shop in Tokyo, so Soichiro left school for Tokyo and got the job at Art Shokai Auto Repair. There, Soichiro would grind out the following 6 years, cleaning up the shop and doing other menial tasks. His efforts would eventually pay off, and the owner of the shop, Yuzo Sakakibara, allowed Soichiro to start working in a secondary shop where the owner built race cars. In 1923, Soichiro showed his dedication by saving 3 cars during an earthquake that hit the area. Soichiro was then able to be the riding mechanic as the brothers who owned the shops won first place at the Japan Motor Car Championship in 1924. After this racing success, Sakakibara was eager to open up more shops, and Soichiro took the opportunity to open an Art Shokai shop back in his hometown of Hamamatsu at the age of 21. The risk of common earthquakes in Japan is what initially inspired Honda to create very durable spare parts for cars and bikes. He began to create his own replacement parts that were often better than the originals, and he even started to receive patents for some of his innovations. Soichiro would also race in his spare time. However, in 1936, he would crash his turbocharged Ford race car at the Tamagawa Speedway. As a result of the crash, he would injure his right eye, and his brother was injured as well. This event pushed him to give up any ambition of being a race car driver. Soichiro Honda's Art Shokai shop became very successful in his area, but after 9 years of running the shop, he desired more. He wanted to create a separate research facility to create new parts, specifically piston rings in the beginning. But the Sakakibara brothers weren't on board with this plan, and if Soichiro were to make it happen, he would have to do it all himself. So in 1937, Soichiro would officially leave Art Shokai and found his own company. He named it Tokai Seiki and went to work on developing improved piston rings. With his ties to Art Shokai severed, Soichiro needed a large customer to help get his business going. Who better than Japan's leading vehicle manufacturer at the time, Toyota? Honda sent 30,000 piston rings to Toyota, but the quality control inspectors were dissatisfied with his product and only deemed 3 rings as acceptable for use. Soichiro persevered through this initial failure and improved on his designs and manufacturing. During the next few years, he would work tirelessly and sleep in his workshop. He even pawned off his wife's jewelry to keep his business going, and eventually he was able to mass-produce piston rings that were higher quality, and his relationship with Toyota improved. As Japan began to militarize in the late 30s, with plans to invade China, production ramped up across the board. With Toyota being integral to Japan's vehicle manufacturing, Soichiro was able to produce 40% of the piston rings that Toyota used. With the dawn of World War II came a big production opportunity for Soichiro, and he was finally able to reap the rewards for all his hard work. However, things would take a turn for the worse as Japan got the United States involved in the war. In 1944, the United States would bomb Soichiro's hometown of Hamamatsu, destroying his factory and inventory. As the war came to a close with Japan's surrender, Soichiro decided not to restore his factory, as he was uncertain about the future of Japan's economy. He sold the remains of Tokai Seiki to Toyota for 450,000 yen. Soichiro took the next year off, spending the time at home with his friends and his wife, Sachi. Before the end of 1946, Soichiro knew he wanted to get back into manufacture. Japan's economy was rebuilding relatively well after the war, so he purchased a factory and started the Honda Technology Research Institution. Soichiro returned to his roots and began working on bicycles. But he didn't want to make just another bicycle, so he began experimenting with putting different engines on the bicycles. He also took small military radios that were left over from World War II and fitted them to the bicycles so that the rider would have a radio. With this initial design, Soichiro went around his hometown, which was still fairly small at the time, and managed to sell 1,500 models. Soichiro had also reconnected with a friend who worked for an aircraft manufacturer which had used Honda's piston rings. His friend's name was Takeo Fujisama, and he was able to work with Soichiro Honda and manage the company's finances to set it up for success better than Honda had been before. After this small success, Soichiro improved upon his design with a two-stroke engine and brought the Honda A-Type to production. In 1949, he changed the name to Honda Motor Company and introduced the company's first motorcycle called the D-Type, or the Dream. 2 years after the Dream was released, Soichiro began experimenting with four-cycle engines for the first time. And during the early 50s, Soichiro and his family were finally able to live comfortably again with the early success of Honda Motor Company. In 1959, after increasing success in Asia, Honda opened up a dealership in Los Angeles. The dealership was a success, and by 1964, Honda became the largest manufacturer of motorcycles not just in Japan, but in the entire world. Takeo Fujisama was still managing the company's finances, and he and Soichiro made a great duo as Honda directors. With this incredible success in motorcycles, Honda knew it was time to get into the growing car market. The first automobile Honda would produce was the 1963 T360 pickup truck. This was a small truck classified as a K car in Japan that used a 356cc engine. Honda then produced the S500, a small sports car, which showed that the brand had some range of products that it could deliver on. A few years later, Honda developed and produced the N600. This was a compact passenger car, and in 1969 became the first car that Honda would sell in the United States. In 1973, Soichiro and Takeo Fujisama were still overseeing the operations of the company, and they oversaw the development of the Civic. As we all know, the Civic would go on to be one of the most popular cars ever, selling nearly 30 million models at the time of this recording. The Civic would end up being Soichiro's last direct contribution to the world, as in October 1973, he and Fujisama would step down together. But Soichiro was still the supreme advisor to the board for the next 10 years. He enjoyed a productive and fun retirement with activities like skiing and hang gliding, as well as doing charitable work with the Honda Foundation. Soichiro had a son named Hirotoshi. However, he never wanted to force his son to take over the company, as he felt like that would compromise the company's values. As you may know, his son went on to found the company Mugen Motorsports. On August 5th, 1991, at the age of 84, Soichiro passed away due to liver failure. He left behind his incredible and inspiring story of never giving up and holding on to your values, as he created one of the most well-known and trusted brands in the world. I hope you enjoyed this video. Personally, I love the life story of Soichiro Honda, and I'm really glad I got to share it with you. This video is part of a series on the channel called Automotive Icons, where I look at the lives and innovations of pioneers within the automotive industry. For more content like this, check out the Automotive Icons playlist on the channel and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.